What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to go over the rumors that Rocksteady's new game is Suicide Squad. So we've had this debate. We've talked about this a ton on the channel over the last, I'd say, almost like a year, right? I make a lot of Batman videos, but I like to make Rocksteady videos as well. And it really seemed to be that, okay, this is either a Suicide Squad game or a Justice League game. Now, yeah, I guess Superman, you could throw in your miscellaneous, like some people want Aquaman, Wonder Woman, name your character, right? Name your, whoever you want to do it on. But I think when it really boiled down to it, it was probably going to be one of these two. Now, yesterday, Imran Khan, who works for Kinda Funny, he's the ex-Game Informer, I believe, like a lead, actually ex-senior editor at Game Informer. He knows his way around the gaming industry, and he has said, and this is really one of the first times we've heard this, that he heard that Rocksteady's new game is Suicide Squad, is going to be a Suicide Squad game. And then we also have, I believe, from Slasher41, he posted that it seems like Jason Schreier, formerly of Kotaku, right now like Bloomberg, I think, he has loosely said that he also thinks, or he also has heard, that it is Suicide Squad. So really, we've talked about this, right? When Jason Schreier first said Warner Bros. Was going to have an E3, or they were going to, right? When he said they were going to have an E3 event, he said the Batman game, which was Warner Bros. Montreal. He said Harry Potter, but he never said Rocksteady's game. He only said Rocksteady. And even when I make videos, for the most part, I say Rocksteady's new game. I say Rocksteady, and you know what I mean? We don't really label their game because nobody's all that sure about what this game is. But this now, two times, two different people, same day, came out and has now really started to push that this is a Suicide Squad game. And also, I guess, so now there's, there's leaks basically of all of these different fandoms. So we have the DC fandom, right? I believe there's all these listings for different like URLs, different sites that are going up, and there is one for Suicide Squad. There's also one for Harry Potter, and we're going to talk about Harry Potter later on. Actually, tomorrow we're going to have a video on Harry Potter. So really, it seems like Warner Bros. Is building up. They're building up, not only are they building up the DC fandom event, but they're building up what could potentially be an event before that, right? Where they maybe do Batman, an event before that where they do Harry Potter, an event before that where they do Rocksteady. That is, we have to see. We have to really just see where it goes. But as of right now, it's looking more and more likely that this game that Rocksteady is making is Suicide Squad. Now, I have a couple things to say. I do want to have, I want to put my opinion, I want to stamp it onto this video right here. So here's what I want to say. Two different things. One, it's an odd choice. It's actually an odd choice for two different reasons. The first reason is, I guess I understand it with the movie The Suicide Squad, right? With Suicide Squad, the movie that came out a couple of years ago, I guess it makes sense if Rocksteady started making it a while ago. What's interesting is we know a lot about the history of Warner Bros. Montreal, right? We basically know that there was at least, actually, I was going to say 2 canceled games. Seems like 3. And one of those is Suicide Squad, which I want to get to in a second. But we kind of know their history. We know they tried this, they tried that, and now they're on this Batman game, okay? With Rocksteady, it's a little unclear what they've been doing because Arkham Knight came out 5 years ago, almost to the day. It was like June 25th, I think. Almost 5 years to the day that Arkham Knight came out. What have they been doing for 5 years? Have they been making a game for the entire time? It's possible, and developers sometimes do take that long. CD Projekt Red notoriously takes a very long, Rockstar, right? There's developers that take a very long time, but it also could mean that they've had some failures along the way. And I do think they've had some failures along the way. I really don't think they've spent 5 years working on this game. But it would make sense if it started around the time of that Suicide, I don't want to say the Suicide Squad movie because that's this one, Suicide Squad. Okay, the movie, again, that came out a couple years ago. I think it's very likely that maybe got them rolling on it. You know what I mean? So I guess it makes sense. At the same time, with Suicide Squad, it's different. It's very different. It's not Justice League. It's definitely not, we know that they're trying to build a DC universe, okay? Like literally not DC universe online, but they're trying to build their own DC universe through these games. Weird way, starting with Batman obviously makes a lot of sense. Even the movies have done that. Starting with Batman, fine, but then you go to Suicide Squad instead of Justice League, instead of something else. Kind of odd. You have basically a character group of misfits. That's kind of what the Suicide Squad is in general, right? You have names like Harley, obviously, right? A Deadshot, stuff like that. So, like, you'll have some names that people can recognize and stuff like that. It does fit into the multiplayer. You can play as multiple people. Maybe you can have other people jump in and they play. It all makes sense in that way, but with the failure of the first movie. Now, the Suicide Squad made a lot of money, but I mean, it's looked at very poorly. Harley Quinn, obviously, like Birds of Prey, that one did not do very well. And now we have the Suicide Squad, which I do actually think is going to be really good, but it just seems like a weird place for them to start. And I think that as time has gone on, obviously, after Arkham Knight was done, we all wanted Superman, right? I think most of the people probably on the internet wanted a Superman game from Rocksteady, and even from that, Justice League would probably have been a really good choice. Maybe Justice League was the number one opinion, right? Something like that. Suicide Squad, I don't think was number one on a lot of people's voting sheets. You know what I mean? So again, odd choice. Here's the biggest thing, and here's what people have said on Twitter to me. And also this is what I've thought immediately as well. Warner Bros. Montreal and Rocksteady, they can say whatever they want. I don't think they've ever looked at each other with a ton of respect, okay? Warner Bros. Montreal, I think, has always been looked at, and this also comes from higher up, like in Warner Bros. I think Warner Bros. Montreal has always been looked at as like lesser, a small, and you could say that that's very true, and in a way, I mean, honestly, Rocksteady is that big studio. Okay, they're the big. They did the Arkham games, the biggest ones, all that kind of stuff. It didn't help that basically Warner Bros. Montreal was tasked of making Arkham Origins, which was kind of like, it's important, but it's a prequel, and it doesn't have anything to do with the games we're working on right now, and it's kind of a stopgap. Like, we want to fill in a little bit of time because we're not going to get Arkham Knight out in time. You know what I mean? So, like, that didn't help. But, when you have Rocksteady calling it the Arkham Trilogy, remember that whole drama a few years back when Arkham Knight was really coming out, like the conclusion to the Arkham Trilogy, I just don't think they've ever looked at themselves as equals. Literally looking at each other. And I don't think this is going to help that situation at all, because rumor had it that Warner Bros. Montreal was making Suicide Squad. Remember, the rumors are Warner Bros. Montreal was making Suicide Squad, they were making Wonder Woman, and obviously the Damian Wayne game, which got scrapped, and I think a lot of assets got used and are being used right now on this new Batman game. But I think originally Suicide Squad was that first one. They had prototyped it, they had developed a little bit of it, but then they shut it down. Same thing for Wonder Woman. It got off the ground a little bit, but it got shut down. So how does this look from Warner Bros. If this ever comes out, if this ever gets known by literally everyone that, hey, Warner Bros. Montreal was originally making a Suicide Squad game, but we canceled it, and it could be because it wasn't good enough. It could also have been because it wasn't good enough, and we just want Rocksteady to do it instead. You know what I mean? Kind of a low blow, and I can imagine that, right? In fact, the way they've described the whole Damian Wayne situation kind of is, okay, they were making this Damian Wayne Batman game, but it sounds like Warner Bros. Went in there and they said, okay, you know what? This just isn't going to work. We don't want this. Well, but in return, or what we'll do instead is we're going to tell you, you know what? We're going to gift you the key to start off the DC universe, start again, make a Batman game, make it a reboot, a soft reboot. None of the events of the Arkham games happen, and we're gonna build from there. Okay, so that's a little something. And even if you use that, it already sounds like Warner Bros. Kind of goes in there and says, you know what? We're having this plan. This isn't working out. So you know what I mean? Things like that. That's what it sounds like happened with Damian Wayne's, that Damian Wayne game. And fast forwarding to the game we have right now. So why wouldn't it have been possible that they're making Suicide Squad, Warner Bros. Goes in and they're like, you know what? Cool idea. I like the multiplayer aspect. I like that you can play as different people. This isn't good enough. We also don't trust you. We trust Rocksteady though, and so we're gonna cancel yours. You do something else. I don't care what, and then we're gonna give it to Rocksteady. You know what I mean? Is that what happened? We don't know, and maybe we will know at some point, but we don't know right now. But as of right now, I feel like that's closer to what it is than what it's not. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. It's very, very interesting that something like this would happen. I guess my own personal opinion, because I haven't said it yet, on if it is a Suicide Squad game, if Rocksteady is making a Suicide Squad game, I'm excited. Honestly, I'm excited. I would be excited for any game. We've talked about Daredevil. We've talked about a Wolverine game. We've talked about, an Aquaman thing. We talked about Wonder. I've thrown out these Flash, right? We've thrown out these side kind of ideas for games, and they're always going to excite some people, and they're always going to be what others sometimes don't want. You know what I mean? That's always going to happen. So I get it. And it's what I've always said, where you only have, we're only going to get so old. Games only have so long to be made. You're going to have a finite amount of games that are going to release. So these companies, these companies that we really know really well, it takes a long time. It takes 3, 4, 5 years to make a game. We're not going to get every single superhero game, and or if I know some people even said like villains, right? We're not going to get every single game that anybody's ever pitched. Okay, there's not enough time on planet Earth to do that. Also, you have to think about marketing and if those would actually work in in selling them to people, right? So that's just how it is, and I get it. I think Suicide Squad is marketable. I think it would sell. I think there is a way of doing that. I don't think it's as likely of a sell as Justice League. I think, honestly, though, in a good way, if we're trying to twist this in a good way, I think it would give hope to people saying, hey, I want this smaller character game. I want this, and we always say, like, well, would that really work in the mainstream? Now, again, I know Suicide Squad, it has 2 movies. It had Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey. It's gotten things in it, and also it's just been around for a very, very long time, right? So I get all that, but I do think it kind of moves into the, they can maybe go for non-guaranteed properties, properties that are not guaranteed to sell immediately really well. A Justice League game, I think, no matter what, would sell very, very well. Suicide Squad, I don't think it's as likely. I think it is, still somewhat likely, but I don't think it's even remotely close, okay? So, I mean, you can take good news from that. Again, what I'm saying is I like the idea. I think it can be very, very good. We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen anything from it yet. So obviously, I'm not going to lay down my thoughts on what this game can be and positives and negatives of it. But just hearing it, saying, okay, Alex, they're making a Suicide Squad game. Where do you stand on it? Okay, fine. I mean, I'll get it day one, I'm sure, right? I mean, who really wouldn't? I'm very excited for it. There are a lot of things they can do right. There's a lot of things they can do wrong. We just have to see where it goes. But you can definitely take positives from it. But I will admit, it's not. If I had to vote, I would have voted Justice League. I wouldn't have voted. If you had to say, do you want Suicide Squad or Justice League? I think a lot of people, I think the majority of people would have voted Justice League. And now, and if these rumors are right, we're getting Suicide Squad. So it is different. I get it. It's not going to appeal to everybody, but at the same time, not every game does. You know what I mean? And one game is not going to appeal to every single person out there. Okay. Ultimately, there'll be more games. Warner Bros. Montreal will make a second game, right? They've got the second studio working. Rocksteady will start working on a new game once we get the game that they're already working on. So these things, it's a cycle. We're going to constantly get more games, and that is very, very exciting. So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Are you guys excited if Rocksteady's game is a Suicide Squad game? Do you think it'll be announced at like a fandom of its own? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel, Podcast Now. Have the bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. And thank you guys so much for watching. I truly, truly appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.